of the can be as shaped. The edges, this has got to dry before we can do it. This, by the way, you can do like that.
That's good. Then you reach over it. Then you.
Well, not for long. Just while I wait, you know, I'm going to use it in a moment. But see, this kind of has to dry.
It has to set up a little bit, huh?
Yes,
when this torch is up this way, you don't want to reach over and get your...
You do not. No.
I don't. I got better things to do than nurse.
Oh, I see.
I'm prone to burns.
I was going to get that burn ointment, but I forgot. So don't anybody.
The paperwork is daunting.
That's what I was talking about, the extra circle that comes around.
I love that.
And it's just where the pigment's getting, so you can do the same thing.
What happens right there?
Oh.
Blow it off.
Yeah.
Oh, it just goes in. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't really do anything.
But it goes into solution.
It's like the heat. Sometimes a little less is more.
Yes.
In other words, you're going to get better results with a little bit less. You could do the same thing with the edge. See, like the edge of this thing?
Yeah, that was what you were doing with your graphite.
Yeah, and I can go back and punch it in with that.
See how it's catching on the edge because there was a line there.
This is a test. And what did you write that with? That was the carbon paper?
Yes.
Oh, underneath, but I just added that on the edge. That was carbon paper. I think. This is a test.
See, that's what I want my heart.
See? So that's the surest and easiest image transfer I've seen. I also brought the nail polish in case anybody wants to do. But then you need a laser print to do an image transfer with nail polish. You need like a Kinko's or a laser print. You can just
Laser or toner?
have to look on the bottle.
I think it's toner.
Not polish remover. But there are two kinds, and I have the kind that works.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I
one
can't
has
remember which is-
acetone and one doesn't.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and the reason you did it as a transfer rather than a mark is
Here.
so that it doesn't...
Doesn't really.
It doesn't...
Look. What?
Stick to the wax.
Doesn't stick.
It won't stick, yeah.
Harder to do.
Right.
The only thing you have to be aware of is that you're, I mean, it does mark it, but I think it's easier. And here you can just kind of figure out what you want.
But I didn't get it
And
done,
also,
and that's what I wanted to
I
put
could even draw a face with
Yeah,
that
that's
pencil
right.
off.
There's really nothing to it except to know that you can't get all the way across in one brush stroke. And the other thing is the bigger the brush, the better. So this one is fatter than that one, and it's going to hold more wax. And I don't know if we have enough for everyone to have one, but for when you're doing it at home. So as soon as I feel it like I do right there, kind of dragging, I'm going to dip it into the wax again. You can feel it. It's not sliding along as well as it might. And of course this wax is... And then the second coat is going to feel different than the first coat. And I'm not worried about when I come back and I overlap a little bit. That's not concerning me because I can go back and take that off. And see, I didn't get all the way to the edge. So I could go back and just kind of get that, make sure I got in that edge. And where I see little things like this, little holes and indentations, those are places where I haven't gotten enough wax. This is clear also?
Yes.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. It looked like it was. Okay. So, you know, like, as I've said to a number of you about putting on the heat, you have to sort of be aware. You have to be watching what you're doing. So here you see, okay, there, look.
Yep, it's not covered.
Ran dry, got dry.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
But, okay, so I'm just going to put more wax on my brush and go back over it. This wax isn't totally heated, melted. It could be a little hotter. So you want to turn that up a notch. It's, what is it at, 200? Let's put it up to 50 points or something.
I can't.
Well, I'll do that
It's
later.
at
All right.
250.
If your brush is dragging, we keep these pretty low because I'm going to just do it because when I'm talking, I'm not really doing it the way I do it. I'm thinking too much.
Okay.
If your brush is, anyway, I keep them very low because they don't smell so much, and we have 8 pans. So, but if you're in your own studio and it's just you might want to, when you're doing a big surface like this, you might want to put it up a little bit higher so that it can.
200?
250.
200 is sort of the low end. So if you're on, you could go to 250. You can even go to 300 for a short while. The other thing that you have to know is if it gets too hot, if it gets too, if you see any smoking or anything like that, this wax isn't really hot enough.
Try the other one.
Can you reach that, Paula? Just put it up a little bit.
Don't drop your...
Okay. The other thing is that usually the center of the thing is a little bit hotter than the edges.
That other one's
So,
hotter.
so I'm saying that, number one, we're still melting wax in here. There's still a piece of wax in there.
Ellen, how could you tell it's not hot enough?
It's dragging.
Okay.
And it may be just because that wax is still melting in there.
It's keeping the whole thing cooler.
Yes. See that? What's going on there?
Yeah.
Skip. That happens.
Happens to you, but we're going to fix it. Not going to worry about it. Okay? We come back with more wax on top. And I'm probably putting on a little more wax than I see some of you doing.
Yes, you are.
You're being kind, considerate, not wanting to use up all the wax, but
That's a lot more than I...
Well, how many layers is this? 3?
no, I'm at 3 or 4. But I'm kind of going, as you can see, I'm not going exactly in straight rows.
No. And that
So
doesn't
where I
matter,
see,
right?
it's just the way I do it. Where I see that there's a hole, where I see that it's not enough, that's where I go and put more. Now, if you're a really consistent person, it might make sense to go all the way across in one direction and come back all the way across in the other direction. But basically, I'm trying to get a little more material on there because I think if you have enough, it depends what you're going to do. But if you're going to do something, maybe you're going to end up with a painting that you're not putting that many coats on, and after the first 3 coats you really like it. So if you have a nice base under it, you can leave it. It's kind of like you're creating a beautiful surface first, like using a beautiful piece of paper or anything that's going to make it. Okay, so now I have quite a bit, and I have to do.
Look how much wax you use of the whole thing.
Use the whole thing.
Do you have a scraper?
Right there beside you.
Beside you, right there.
Oh, okay.
There's some.
So now, it's pretty hot, so I'm going to save this wax. Okay.
That doesn't work very well when it's cold.
Yeah,
It has to be.
but you can also get too deep when you.
And then you avoid, when you set the scraper down, see, that's where I get my gouge.
What?
I think I sink the scraper in.
Well, it's because it's quite hot.
It's rote memory.
I'm doing it pretty
Lino cutting.
lightly. If it was colder, if I had a painting I was working on and I came in the next morning, I can show you this on somebody, and it's it's pretty cold, and I want to get it. I'm trying to get it as smooth as I possibly can. I'll show you this on one of the ones from yesterday. Then I can. It's a whole different kind of thing.
It's a different feel.
It's a different feel. There's a couple of things that if you really want to become proficient, you need to become aware of. You need to be aware of how things feel when you're putting them down. And you need to be aware of the temperatures of things and how the temperatures affect things. In other words, what you can do on a painting when it's hot and what you can do on a painting when it's cold are different things.